troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
And welcome to Off Day, everybody. I'm Jim Christopher. This is Andy Tom Chesson. Merry belated Chris. I guess we don't say happy belated birthday, Jesus. Andy, was Santa Claus good to you?
Sure. It was, everything I could have hoped for in a package of 80-degree weather and humidity and sweat in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
What I would have wanted is winter weather for one day. I'm getting it today, evidently.
Yeah.
Week too late, Santa.
It felt like it really loading up the presents to go to my mother-in-law's, not my mother's in-law, of which I do have more than one at one point anyway. I think it really hit me. The humidity just slapped me it's always put me in a bad mood and just kind of cemented me being in a bad mood. So I got some cool stuff. My brother Tim 3D painted this Superman for me, and it's wonderful. I love the effort, but it's got like Batman style nipples on him. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
I mean, there's a whole cottage industry of TikTok and Instagram accounts that seem to be mostly about nipples, Batman style nipples. So
maybe
that's what you're into. You could certainly find nipples.
I've been missing out.
So you can hardly see those nipples.
Yeah.
They're really looking.
But I want to see those nipples. Hey, so we're going to start talking some college football bowl games today, and the Pop-Tart Bowl was over the weekend, and I got a big suck it to everybody who thinks these bowl games somehow should not matter or should not be important or no one cares. Every year the ratings have increased for these movies, for these games, excuse me. And this year was no exception. And part of it, I think, Andy, is some of these bowl games making, I think, a necessary steer into the skid that is minor league baseball in a lot of ways. Having some fun, being a little goofy. But, people want to use attendance as the end-all, be-all, as if live attendance hasn't been kind of slowly recovering for the last 5 years. I don't know, because we had a pandemic that no one could go to live events for. But people are still watching these bowl games. So for everybody that wants to sit and complain about them online about how we should only have the playoff and bowl games should go away, people disagree with you. And I love that.
Well, I think people are trying to, fix a problem that doesn't necessarily exist, but because I guess the latest populist movement is to move bowl games to like a preseason round of games.
Yeah, I saw that too.
There's a reason that ESPN pays for all but one of the bowl games, the broadcast rights. It's because they make ad revenue, and they make ad revenue because live sports is still one of the few things you can bank on to generate advertised eyeballs and advertising dollars. So ESPN, even with their financial difficulties, still sees a value in funding, 43 bowls, something like that, out of 45. There's a reason for that, and that's because you and me and other people will sit there and make fun of this bowl. Oh, the Liberty Bowl doesn't matter who watches that, but people do. The ratings prove people do, because there's literally nothing else on. As much as the NBA wants to claim that Christmas Day is their day, you could counter program that with just about any bowl game and have double the viewership.
What's interesting, and of course we'll get into why, because the why is not hard to digest, but while bowl games like the Pop-Tart Bowl have actually seen increased ratings, as a whole, the opening weekend of the college football playoff saw a decline in ratings from last week. Now, we could make a mountain of a molehill about that, but it's very easy to diagnose that problem. And that's because you had two non-competitive games. So on the one hand, college football should not be worried about its ability to make money through a playoff. But to the people that just want to look at numbers and say the only thing that matters are the actual bowl games, well, according to TV viewers, that's not true.
And in the first year of this current format, the first round had better ratings than the second round because the second round was where all the dud matchups were going to be.
Right. What the eyeballs are saying, you can be politically correct if you want and say, well, everybody needs to be a part of it. What the eyeballs are saying is they don't want everybody to be a part of it. And what we knew, you can say what you want to about my school or Notre Dame, but you're telling me the networks wouldn't have much rather had Notre Dame or Texas as opposed to JMU or Tulane?
Yeah, and it's we're probably will have this conversation at some point, and I know we've been kind of dancing around it a little bit, but as much as I think most people like the idea of a group of 5 team coming, catching fire, and stampeding through 4 games of the playoffs, it's not it's not probable. It's not impossible, but it's not probable. And as the gap continues, what you're going to see is things like what happened over the weekend, where the entire JMU starting offense went into the portal or announced their intentions. North Texas is the same way. I assume that when we look at Tulane, they're going to have a lot of losses. When you identify yourself as one of these group of 5 players that can succeed at that level or succeed at a high group of 5 level, you now become really valuable to the Ohio States, the Texases, the Michigans, the Notre Dames, the Alabamas of the world. And so it's just going to create a wider and wider gap. And as the competition level drops in the group of 5, really what's outside of the SEC and the Big Ten, it's going to be harder and harder for those teams to win a game. And I say that being, a fan of an SEC team that lost to an ACC team. That's going to be fewer and far in between in the future. And it goes back to, having these games be meaningful, having all the bowl games have some meaning, and trying to figure out a way to keep your rosters as intact as you possibly can. And if the NCAA is going to try to fix anything, I think putting some logic into the transfer rule. I don't care about NIL. That even if I did, that cart, that horse is out of the barn. I don't have a problem inherently with the transfer portal, but there's got to be some sanity where you don't have a kid going in the portal 4 or 5 times in their college career.
Yeah,
because I think it's just going to create this continued disparity as the talent moves. The talent very rarely moves to a lower division. The talent continues to move to the upper divisions.
Well, I mean, you're right, especially with the SEC announcing that they're going to go to 105 scholarships, 110.
Yep.
I mean, all that's going to do is make that gap bigger. And it's funny because your fan base is doing what my fan base has done to your fan base, and announcing that Texas is broken because of the number of players we've had enter the transfer portal. But hey, our friends from Locked On Astros are up here. I guess we got to talk some Astros at some point. I'm drinking coffee.
Nothing.
I love it. Yeah, nothing's. Yeah, I mean, although our boy H-Town Wheelhouse is been very plain about his displeasure with nothing happening, but we're gonna get to that. But no, Texas does not have people leaving going in the transfer portal because the system is broken, the program is broken, and people want out. Those players are being told directly or indirectly, you don't have a place on this team next year, because that's what schools like ours do, because they are the big schools in this process. And they're going to be able to go and pick from any school that lost a coach last minute, or any of these group of 5 teams that these players showed out a little bit.
Well, it is the other side of NIL, right? So if you're going to draw a salary that's at least on the surface based on your performance, you have to perform, or a decision is going to be made. And what you've seen, and what you're seeing from most of the kids entering the portal right now, very few of them, and I'm sure there are some, I'm dissatisfied with the coach or my role or whatever it is. It is about going in and trying to renegotiate your deal or get a better deal if you're not going to get it from your current school. And so when that happens, it becomes a business on both sides. So coaching staffs have a limited budget, regardless of this, false idea that we have to pretend that the coaching staffs aren't controlling NIL. They are. I mean, that's still the narrative, right? It's still the idea that, oh, no, the schools aren't involved with NIL, except we all know that there's a budget. We all know they got to allocate dollars where it makes the most sense. And so you have things like my fan base, some pockets of it are debating about, is whatever Marcel Reed is asking for to come back for his junior year, which he's going to, and I don't have any idea that he's going anywhere else, worth what you're going to get, or should we take a lesser quarterback but refortify our offensive line? And those are the kind of conversations that you have at the NFL level, because you have a limited budget. It might be a giant budget, but it's still a salary cap that you have to spend. College teams at our level are in the same boat. And so the guys you're seeing, I think 6 have entered the portal from Texas A&M. I think you guys were like at 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Last time I checked. And I think one of those from your side is, with some regret, the linebacker whose name I don't remember, starts with an L.
Yeah.
But literally 1 out of 10. The rest are conversations about, if you stay, this is what we need to see, but you're not going to be guaranteed starts. You're not going to be guaranteed snaps. And if you have any desire to go, to the next level, you may want to consider a program where you'll be able to highlight your skills a little bit better.
That is exactly what happened with at least what I think would happen with Trey Wisner, right? Trey Wisner was going to go to the NFL. He had already kind of announced he was leaving the team. Did he
participate in senior day? That's always
he did participate. He did.
Yeah, when you're a junior and you pop out there for senior day, I mean, what are you telling us?
You're right. Well, and I guess he got a grade back, and meanwhile, Texas fires and hires a new hires and fires a new running back coach. You get the rumors that Jaden Ball has a really good shot of coming here. You're not going to have him split carries with Trey Wisner. Trey Wisner thinks he's an NFL talent. He's not going to want to all of a sudden go to being a change of pace back, especially because Trey Wisner came here as that, and through injury had opportunities and excelled in those opportunities. Of course, he's going to want to try to go somewhere where he can put some more film, more games on film. Locked on Astros actually asked, first of all, he wants to put out he's drinking his coffee out of a Yard and Savior coffee mug by Playbook Podcast. Did we just do a plug that we weren't getting paid for?
Inadvertently.
We're so bad at this.
Don't just read things that are put in front of you, Ron Burgundy.
Totally. I'm Ron Burgundy. Yeah, Texas did lose. You say top flight receiver entering the portal, but I think, again, kind of the same deal. If I were to rank the receivers I wanted to come back, he would have been 3rd. So as orbit stretches. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not just trying to be. He said my bad. I have no issue with that at all. I think it's funny. No, I don't know. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat the loss, but I think that the Texas receiving core had moments where it didn't help Arch Manning out. And so, of course, you're going to go try to find better receivers. Not to mention that you've had a top recruiting class for the last 3 or 4 years. Eventually, you're going to start getting playing time for those guys. So,
and there is also the component of not necessarily knowing what Texas is pursuing in the portal themselves. Because
they're not pursuing anybody yet, Andy, because there's no tampering.
Right. So as much as we want to pretend there is no tampering, the tampering that is happening, if you see a linebacker, for instance, that you're perplexed as to why they've chosen to enter the portal now, pretty much count on your team already having conversations with 3 other linebackers that they deem as better than that person. Not better as a person, better as a player, but still, and that is going on constantly. And it's panicking about the portal in December, especially now that it's a 2-week window that we were worried about in January, is highly premature until you see the end of it. It's kind of like, to talk about another topic, worrying about what the Astros are doing in free agency in November.
Right. I do want to get there, but we have a question for you on the comments about what you want to see out of the portal from A&M. Where are the areas that you felt like are going to be able to help Marcel Reed? I think your defense is obviously fine, although I guess, no, you probably want to shore up that run defense a little bit if you can.
Well, Well,
You
we're
have
learning
running back injury issues, so
we have got to get better on both lines, especially at defense on the front seven, because you've lost a lot of meat through graduation and the portal at both the tackle and the edge position. So that's got to be addressed. There is younger talent on the team that will get to play. Offensive line is going to be an issue because you're replacing a senior laden line. So we need to see who's coming back. There's two potential players coming back. See if we can hold on to them and convince them that the money they might be getting in the third round of the draft, we can make that up to them next year. But overall, in general, the answer's a lot more nebulous than I think people want. I think you have to continue to improve everywhere you can improve, and that includes popular players. So if there's a quarterback that's out there that is better than Marcel Reed, if there's a quarterback on your roster that is Marcel Reed, or is better than Marcel Reed, you've got to continue to make those decisions for the betterment of the program and not necessarily the betterment of the individuals that make up the program. Because that's the next step for A&M will be, you had great success in 2025, and 11-2 record is a success. We've talked about this. I'm not going to apologize for going 11-2. You have to build on that. So next year has to be as successful. That might not be an 11-win season, because with a nine-game SEC season, I think everybody except the Big Ten is going to be taking a step back in what a top-flight record looks like. 10 wins might be the ceiling for a lot of teams, because going 12-0 is going to be really, really hard with the schedules that SEC teams face every week. So to me, that's kind of the issue of its continued improvement and filling the holes that still exist on this roster that Elko inherited 2 years ago. They're not as big a holes, but they are holes. But that's maintaining success year over year has been a bugaboo for A&M for a while, certainly the last 20 years. So you need to stack good seasons together, and whatever that looks like, however you get there, that's what has to happen next.
I like that Orbit knocked my camera, so for a while I looked like I was on the set of a Batman villain in the 1966 TV show. But
you're going to put some graphics up in post, right? Like
I'm totally going to have some onomatopoeia flying across the thing. Yeah, I mean, I think all teams. I think one of the things I've appreciated about Sark in this offseason, is he is clearly. It would be easy to say, well, we would have made the playoff if we would not have played Ohio State, and so we're going to go ahead and just assume everybody will take a step and get better. But I think firing Kwiatkowski, and I think clearly sending people down the road shows you he's not being passive this offseason. And I mean, I think the reason is if Texas has another, by our standard, lackluster season, he's on the hot seat all of a sudden, because you don't get to hang around for a long time if you haven't.
I think there's a lot of poker chips being pushed in on this season, which is ostensibly Arch's last in Austin.
Sure. If it's not his last in Austin, it's maybe Sarch, because that means they had a bad year.
Right. And so you've got to do what you've got to do to capitalize on that situation, that quarterback, that visibility. Because regardless of what happened this year, and everybody knows Arch played better as the season went on, he's going to go back in as a Heisman front runner in August, and the pressure is going to be back on his shoulders, and he's got to take that next step. And Texas as a program has to capitalize on that momentum, because it's a big drop off. Even if you get the best 5-star quarterback out in the markets sitting on your roster, as you've seen, it takes a minute to adjust to the college game. So it's stacking that success. And I think
it is a stacked, at least by, recruiting talent, quarterback room. But as we've learned, there's no substitute for experience.
I mean, and for every Arch Manning you have on your roster, you might have a Chance Mock.
Let's not forget. Okay. All right. Let's not forget that Chance Mock was actually the Heisman frontrunner when he was replaced by Vince Young, and did nothing to lose his job, by the way. Chance Mock, oh God, you got to watch.
Sometimes people say things just get reactions out of you.
Yeah, well, that was one of them. Good job. I remember although I do remember being the one person in Vince's greatest comeback win if I was like, please bench Vince Young and put Chance Mock back in. So shows you what I know.
Well, and I will tell you, A&M fans of a certain vintage are always salty about Chance Mock because I don't know if he was committed to us, but he certainly gave the impression that he was going to be. And when he flipped, the reason given was it was a business decision. Which in whatever year that was, the 90s, you can take that as you'd like, but most of us took it in the financial sense of the.
I take it as Jackie Sherrill wasn't running A&M anymore. Otherwise, he'd have met his quote.
Well, that's the problem. RC's budget got cut.
Yeah, must have. So the Astros did make a trade, and I honestly am excited about the trade. I think we've seen when the Astros get hold of a pitcher from the Pirates who maybe doesn't have the best numbers on the surface, but they see underlying things in that pitcher, things tend to happen. Okay, last thing on that, Case's Colts brother McCoy, over Connor Wood. Connor Wood was a huge mistake. Yeah, the look, for as much as Case McCoy had moments, including that last game against A&M, there is not. I mean, I used to refer to Case McCoy as Danny DeVito in Twins. Colt was the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Or I used to think Case looked a little bit like The People Under the Stairs. You remember that movie, The People Under the Stairs?
Yes.
Yeah, that horror movie back in the day. But I think the trade for Mike Burrows is a good deal for the Astros. Obviously when it looked like Brandon Lowe might become part of that, I was very excited. But I also don't think they're done. But I think that they did a good job leveraging some on-field talent for some players that may or may not have panned out.
Yeah, I think, you focus on what you got from this deal. At least I do, more than what we gave up. Anderson Brito might be an all-star in 5 years, but he's not helping the 2026 Astros. Everything has to be given. Any prospect you're giving up has to be given through that lens because, as we all know, we don't know what baseball is going to look like after 2026 or if there will be baseball in 2027, at least for most of that season. So you take what you've got. You got 6 years of control over a guy who has a spin rate on his curveball of around 3,000. His sliders around 2,500 and his four-seamers around 2,300. Those are superior numbers, elite numbers almost for spin rate, which is something the Astros pitching lab loves to capitalize on. For me, Burrows suffers from a couple things when he was with Pittsburgh. One was a very poor infield defense. So it's going to be better, even with Altuve playing second, which looks like is going to happen more often than I'm comfortable with. He generates a lot of ground balls. He replaces your Fromber, from that perspective. The other part is the Astros have a talent for taking a guy, and it's on the player. Justin Verlander has alluded to as much when he came over. If you take the data they're giving you, you're going to be successful because what they're going to do is say, look, they knock your four-seamer around the park. Stop throwing it.
Yeah.
Don't throw it in that situation. And so I think a simple philosophical switch of pitch
or telling Garrett Cole, you don't throw a four-seamer.
Yeah. Just the idea of adjusting this guy's pitch selection during certain situations in a game is going to benefit him greatly. I know the projections for him are something like a 4.34 ERA. I will be very surprised if he's not better than mid-threes from an ERA standpoint with the underlying stats to match that because his underlying numbers are good. I think it's very hard to be a successful pitcher with the Pittsburgh Pirates unless you are Paul Skeens.
Yes, I mean that's the thing. I gotta go back to the Garrett Cole example of, Garrett Cole, as I recall, didn't even throw a four-seamer when he came to the Astros. He had one that he just never threw it, and as it turns out, that pitch is borderline unhittable.
Well, yeah, the agent of himself certainly owed some money from that Yankees contract to the Astros pitching lab.
Yes, definitely so.
Hey, I think it's a big. I think it's a good move. I think there's, like you said, it's not done because they do need at least one more rotation piece in my mind. According to Dana Brown, they're shopping for bullpen help. I'm still waiting on this mysterious left-handed bat that he's been looking for. Let me reverse that. An impact left-handed bat. That seems to be left out. Somebody who can actually play every day.
Yeah, right.
Well, and I'm still really interested to know what the hell they're going to do with Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes on the same roster, ostensibly filling the same position.
Yeah.
So more to come, but like most of us, we're not patient individuals. We'd like to see it now, but it'd probably be sometime mid-January.
Well,
we're 45 days or so from less than that from pitchers and catchers reporting.
Well, and I think also with with 26 or 27 being such a just not sure what's going to happen, it does seem like we've already seen in past years the free agency market and the trade market get really, really slow. And it looks like it's even slower. And part of that, I think, is because of the uncertainty going into the year.
I think the elite of the elite teams, front offices, are going to be very wary on committing to long-term deals for anybody but superstars. And so you're seeing that affect that next level of player where there's just, hey, we'll talk to you, but let's talk closer to February. We've got a whole month between now and then, so there will be moves made. All the players that you're worried about not having jobs or not filling your holes will be on teams by the time spring training rolls around. Jim Crane still hasn't signed Justin Verlander, which he's going to do. We all know. It's the thing we're all pretty certain about. Yeah. So it really just comes down to us as fans paying attention, I guess, in Houston to the Texans. I'd say to the Cowboys fans, the Cowboys, but you should not do that unless you feel bad about yourself and want to feel worse.
That's a good point. Man, they gave me some hope for a while. And then they dashed it.
It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah, it's like, it's like whenever you're dating that girl in high school and you think to yourself, tonight might be the night I might get to second base. And then you find out that no, you're not getting past first.
It's a little different for me as in college when you find out what a Miracle Bra is.
Oh, yeah.
And what it hides.
Yeah. I'll be honest though. I never was was that guy that was like, if I ever got a bra off, I never was like,
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, I was just so excited someone let me take the bra off.
There is misleading advertising.
There is.
It was. You learn very quickly to look at the underside, and this is way technical for you young guys out there. Don't look at the top. The top's very attractive. The top's always going to be attractive. You look at the bottom, and if there's no bottom there, and that's important to you,
then there you go. That tells you everything you need to know.
Women can do a whole lot of shit with tape.
They can. Yeah, they can. Hey, I'm a massive fan of the show Psych. It's probably my second or third favorite show. Did you ever watch Psych with on USA, Andy?
I did. We actually did a couple of segments on it on one of the earlier incarnations of this show.
So I'm so excited to be able to start this next conversation with the following sentence. Did you hear about Pluto? Tell me you saw the photos from Pluto that came back from the NASA telescope. 9 years, $3 million in the making. Did you see the photos of the mountains?
I did not.
You have, if you're out there, guys, and look, and my wife will tell you, I am not your space guy. I think it's neat that we go to space. I think we should go to space. I think all of those things, but like, don't take me to a planetarium. I'm going to be bored. But NASA released these photos of the mountains they took of Pluto, and it is pretty impressive. Highly recommend. Just from a human accomplishment situation, highly recommend checking it out. Now we are at the end. This is the last show of the year. Okay. And one of the things, everybody wants to do is talk about their favorite movies of the year. And I was wondering, Andy, what stuck out for you? What were some of the movies that you watched that you were like, oh yeah, that was pretty badass?
Most of mine is more populist than anything than artistically or critically acclaimed. Although I think the thing that intersects all that the best this year was Sinners.
Okay.
I love Sinners. I love Michael B. Jordan, just about anything. Ryan Coogler, I think, is a fantastic director, and it was just such a fresh take on the vampire genre, on race relations, for a period piece set in Reconstruction. Well, not Reconstruction, the early 20s. Sorry,
Early Jim Crow.
Prohibition is what I was going for. Not
Oh yeah,
Reconstruction.
yeah, yeah.
But just I think it was a masterful movie. From a fun perspective, just pure fun. Superman is hard to beat. I think that was one of the better releases this year, and I know it is somehow controversial because the Zack Snyder people still exist. And then from a just touching kind of standpoint, I'm still evaluating because we went and saw Song Sung Blue.
Oh,
Friday.
okay, yeah. How was that?
It was really, really good, and brought our little party of four, at least three of us, to tears by the end of the movie. So it had that emotional touchstone, but it did not pass up I Like Me, which is the documentary about John Candy, which was released this year. And I think those three are probably my top three for different reasons this year.
Yeah, I think Song Sung Blue is something we're definitely going to be seeing this week. I think we're also going to go see. We're really interested in the sort of remake of Anaconda. I think Superman was my favorite movie of the year. I found it to be a perfect Superman movie. I mean, you know that character is very important to me. So it was something that, but I think, man, I think I was actually overall very disappointed in much of what came out this year that I was looking forward to coming out, like mostly in the horror genre, right? Like,
It was a big year for horror movies, or was supposed to be anyway.
It's supposed to be, and so I'm just like thinking through the list, right? I was very disappointed in Weapons, and I know that's one that, you know, when my film festival rolls around next month, that movie will come up, and I will express that opinion and sort of be told that I somehow missed the point of the movie.
And we disagree on that particular one. I really enjoyed it. I know why you didn't.
Yeah. But I was disappointed in Black Phone too, and I was disappointed in the remake. So I know what you did last summer, and I know that probably, well, you went in with expectations for a remake of a 40-year-old or 30-year-old movie, and you went in with expectations to a sequel to a movie that was kind of an obscure horror movie in the first place. And the answer is yes, I did, and yes, I was disappointed. I found myself though, didn't see it in theaters, but sort of on a whim bought it on Blu-ray because I'm a completist, having really enjoyed the most recent Jurassic Park movie, Rebirth.
I did not. And despite Scarlett Johansson being Scarlett Johansson and all of it, I think the Chris, which Chris was that? Not Pine. The two movies prior.
Oh, Chris Pratt. Yeah.
The Chris Pratt episodes have killed that franchise for me. And I was always iffy on it anyway, because the first one I think is a magnificent film.
Sure.
The next two, I spent the entire time rooting for the dinosaurs to eat the stupid people. Like the photographer who took the bullets out of the gun on the dangerous island. Was that number 3? I think that was number 3. That person should have gotten.
Unfortunately, I think that was number 2 because it was Vince Vaughn's character.
But I needed those people to die because they were too stupid to live. There's a lot of that in that franchise. If I have anything to say about Rebirth, it was the most plausible of the sequels. And I'm using, that's generous because there were a couple things that took me out of it, like a Jeep that started after 45, a gasoline powered Jeep that started after 45 years of no maintenance and just started.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I thought The Long Walk was bad. I really wanted to like that.
I liked it okay. It could have been done tighter. I really liked lost my train of thought here because I'm scrolling a list. There were a lot of movies that came out this year. There's a lot of movies that came out. I'm looking forward, I think, this week to seeing Marty Supreme because it seems quirky enough that I'm going to really enjoy it. I really did like One Battle After Another, which I know is not a controversial opinion by any means because a lot of people liked it. but I thought that if you wanted to see Paul Thomas Anderson do a Coen Brothers film, this is as close as you're ever going to get. Which that was fun for me. I really like the Naked Gun remake. I think that is an underrated. I mean, and I spent part of yesterday watching Airplane, so understand where I come from on all this. But the 90-minute comedy film is a dying art, and I think that the Lonely Island guys. Well, I guess Andy Samberg wasn't involved, but Kiva and the other one put this one together. It was really well done for that type of movie. And I really enjoyed it, and I've already purchased a physical copy of it because I assume it'll be something randomly taken out of distribution soon. Another one I liked that's kind of off the beaten path was Companion, which is kind of a different take on the iRobot stuff.
We just got a comment that says, my son saw Marty Supreme last night, and he literally woke me up to tell me it was the best movie he has ever seen. And now he's 16 or 17 or 18, so he's not had a chance to see a lot of movies, but that's about as good a endorsement as you can get.
Yeah, I'm knowing that my wife will have no interest in that. I'm very interested in pretending to be at work and sneaking over to the mall to go watch that later.
Just one of your fellow workers watch the show.
Also, this week, because he had a lot of time sitting at home, the new Knives Out entry on Netflix is really, really good.
I've heard
better than the second one.
I think I've heard better than the second one. And I loved the second one too. Like I didn't have the same.
Well, I will tell you, as a fellow Catholic, you will enjoy this one a little bit more.
I'm already can't wait. I think we're actually going to watch that today, as we're sitting around the house. Now I know you're not a Stranger Things guy, but you might be shocked to know that right wingers are upset with the fact that one of the characters gets superpowers that comes because he realizes he's gay. You might also realize, Andy, that's not. You might be shocked to know that that's actually not how it happens in the show at all.
Well, my assumption is that most of them that are upset about it didn't even watch the show, that they read something on Reddit and decided that it was real.
True. Yeah. There is a long building reveal over seasons about one of the characters. And there is a scene in which he does tell his friends, but it's in the context of they're getting ready to fight a villain whose ability to use their secrets against them. So it's not even I need to unburden myself. It's I don't want to fail you later on, so let's get this out in the open, which to me makes perfect narrative sense from a writing perspective. But I've actually greatly enjoyed this season. I don't like though that Netflix went against their release pattern by not just giving us the entire season. Like we have to wait now until New Year's Eve to watch that. Then I'll watch When Harry Met Sally.
I'm certain there's some math that neither you or I are ever going to understand about why they make those decisions on some shows versus others. Because most Netflix pattern, like you said, is mostly just dump everything out there and, let people binge. And then when they do the drip, it's a little bit harder. I mean, I'm used to it from HBO. HBO does the drip, but they also have a whole different channel besides just HBO Max that they have to cater to. So I get that. I kind of wish they'd pick one or the other. And I know, unpopular opinion, at least in my household, I'm okay with it not being all released at once. I do like the anticipation of having a show to watch, and sadly building my schedule around what's going to be on TV Thursday night. Now, that means, sometimes I'm not going to hit it, and that's where streaming kicks in. But I think there are some shows where a full release makes sense, like the Man on the Inside with Ted Danson, which is a fantastic show. If you haven't watched it, that's also on Netflix. They dump them all out at once, and you get them. Stranger Things, it feels like they're trying to build momentum, so to speak.
Yeah, and I also wondered too how much of it is
the way they choose to do it.
Like this is the last bona fide hit Netflix has cooking right now, and it makes you wonder, because if you think about it from just a film studies perspective, how different the streaming landscape is from when Stranger Things season 1 came out, and Netflix every other month had the hot show, and they haven't had the hot show in quite a while because the landscape's different.
I think this is a good place as any to announce that we are also entering a hostile bid to take over Time Warner and HBO. We're going to compete with Oracle and with Netflix.
Not only that, when we get it, we're going to delete the Snyder films, people. We're taking them off of everything and getting, how about that?
If you want to participate, go on and join our GoFundMe. And because we're going to need funds to put this together, but I think putting the bid in is an important step.
Yeah. Comment from the most beautiful woman I know. She says, I love The Man on the Inside too, but this is episodes making me realize I didn't see enough new movies this year. Me too, sweetheart. I'm over here going, I don't have anything to talk about as I am doom scrolling through all these posters as Andy's just rattling off the 19 that he saw. I
am also disappointed that we haven't put together an off day Wrapped, because every other podcast and service that you subscribe to does a Wrapped. I sure did not enjoy my Dollar Shave Club Wrapped. That seemed excessive.
Yeah.
You have a beard. You barely buy products. Thanks for 2025.
Yeah, right. No, I'm over here going, well, I did watch Godfather 3 times this year, though. So there's that. I guess I could have used that time to watch something new. I've become my father and when it comes to rock and roll. Like it stopped in 1972. There's nothing else came after.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's fair. All right. Well, we're not going to be back on Friday. We're going to continue to take the time off. But Andy, real quick, what do you think Texas fans should or should not be looking for, if anything, against Michigan, other than a chance to beat a historically great program?
I mean, you're going to play the game. You might as well try to win. But I don't see either side risking a lot to win it all. If I'm a team that is playing in a bowl game, which full transparency, everybody knows A&M has always been that team. You've got not a lot to play for other than pride. You've got guys that are going to want to be able to showcase against a good opponent the things they can do, because maybe they're draft eligible or maybe they're trying to be portal eligible. I think it's good for your program to win the game. I think it's good to try to win the game, but I don't think you're going to see. I think if it's a successful game, you win, but you win by playing a lot of young guys. And hopefully, Arch plays the whole game, because Arch needs to play the whole game, but he's never in positions where he's in peril. And that to me would be a successful bowl game for Texas.
It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of team Michigan's even able to put out there after everything they've gone through.
I would also like to address the small contingent of LSU fans who were trying to start shit Saturday morning by saying, do you think A&M fans are sad that we're still playing and they're not? Which, for a couple things. A, LSU fans are fucking idiots. And B, no, nobody cared that they were playing in the Texas Bowl, and that became even more apparent when you ended up losing to U of H.
Yeah.
So, no, I would much rather be 11-2 and be done last weekend than be 7-6.
Well, it's funny because I got a message to the opposite that I'm going to have a different reply to that. And a guy messaged me and he goes, would you rather Texas make the CFP and lose first round, or be done before Christmas, not make the CFP and play a meaningless bowl game after both of your rivals got eliminated home in the first round? Like, you're asking me to do a lot of work there or carry a lot of water for you. And, I mean, I guess, of course, I would have rather been in the college football playoff, but I don't know that I would have been content with losing the first round and somehow been like, that's okay for me. I'd have been just as pissed off.
I think everything else being equal, the answer is always make the playoffs. And then you can be disappointed in the context of the playoffs. Being disappointed in the context of not doing well in the playoffs is a better level of disappointment to me than being in a bowl game and potentially losing that and being done early.
Here's where I'm at, honestly. Last year, Texas is the only team to make the playoffs 2 years in a row. It's hard to make the playoffs. I just assume we're going to make it again next year. I do believe that there are things like the schedule that work against you as far as just the amount of high-intensity football you're playing. And I am kind of looking at it from the perspective of starting to get your portal nonsense figured out earlier, starting to figure out who's going to be on your team or off your team earlier, being able to have made your defensive coordinator change and have him coach the bowl game, that's going to serve Texas better than if they had snuck in the playoffs and lost in the first round.
Well, either way, you get the 3 extra weeks of practice. So I think that's good for all teams.
I'm just saying the answer is not as black and white. And as a team who has, as a fan who has had his team in the playoffs 2 years in a row and gone to the Final Four both times, of course, one of those years you automatically went to the Final Four. I just assume Texas is going to be back again, so I'll be fine next year when they're back in.
Yeah, but we can be adults and disagree on this a little bit, and I think we're kind of saying the same thing. But if you are trying to dumb it down, like the person who's trying to prod you via private message was doing, you always want to make the playoffs. You always want to have a chance to win the championship. But there are benefits to being a team that doesn't make the playoffs, is still good enough to get a top-tier bowl game, because there are other things that happen. It gives you, like you said, further evaluation windows, more practice, more time to pay attention to the portal, and not tamper, because nobody does that. But
nobody does that.
Start talking about to agents about random subjects, and maybe something pops up. I do like that they fixed the portal. I think that's better for the sport. I do think they need to address something about
again.
Well, I think they need to do something about the timing of coaching changes next.
I think all of that will get worked out, particularly when we get to a set number of what the playoff looks like. And I think all of that's going to happen this year. I do want to point out to people that are trying to troll Longhorn fans on the internet, the Longhorns are not playing in the Cheez-It Bowl. They're playing in the Citrus Bowl, which is a top-tier bowl game sponsored by Cheez-It. Those are 2 different things. Give you the last word, Andy, on anything.
Whatever happened to the Duke Mayonnaise Bowl? Because to me, that would be winning the game and getting doused with mayonnaise would make me not want to win the game.
I'm about to say, yeah. And I know how you have
I'm not a mayonnaise fan.
You have a particular aversion to mayonnaise.
Yeah, I don't enjoy mayonnaise to start with, but the idea of having to take a bath in it as a reward seems counterproductive.
It does. All right. Well, that's going to be it for us for the week. We will be back, though, 1 week from today to talk about how Texas did in the bowl game, and to be, among other things, wishing my amazing wife a happy birthday. She will not be meant to have her age. She's not a big, I get freaked out about my age thing, but her birthday is the 2nd. So happy early birthday. But we'll be back on 1 week from today to discuss how Texas did in that bowl game. Until then, for Andy, I'm Jim. This has been Off Day with Ballpark Nation. See ya.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all